learned from the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in November 10th, 2021, and we need to talk about the $25,000 strategy. So, if you saw Roblox today, it was crazy. We were able to make $25K off of a day trade, and that's not what I want to talk about. I just wanted to get your attention. What I really want to talk about is this strategy, because I got this by buying the shares, but we were still able to walk away with over 100%, and we sold out before the earnings, but we've also done this on some other plays. So what I want to show you here is a earning strategy. We're still going to go over the watch list. I have all the recap and all of that, but I do think there is going to be a runner tomorrow like Roblox, so that's why I want to go over this, because even if you do not make the trade on the day of earnings, I want to highlight the opportunity afterwards. So Roblox was a killer. We're going to go over that trade, all of the different trades that we made. I actually made a ton of different ones. We did a couple of flips here. We have a couple that were swinging, so we're going to go over all of that. But today in general was crazy and wild. The market ended the streak, but it came as a surpriser. We had some weird Fed news this morning. We're going to talk about it. It has a lot of implications. There was some economic data that we got with factory orders, but now coming into tomorrow, you're going to get this CPI, and that is going to be an event. And we also got a bunch of earnings after hours, and it's going to lead to a lot of plays. So we got a lot to go over. I'm going to go over all of that. I got the keys for tomorrow, the company news and events, the plays that we made, and then the plays and strategy for tomorrow. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description, and it's pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/TheStockMarket. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch the watch list come to life, and yes. If your parents care more about you being an honored student than making $1 million on the stock market, then yeah, we are the place to be. And the most important thing you need to do, post or watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything. Post them below and source that info. Shout out to chat, baby. So, right off the bat, like I said, we finally got a red day today, but it was a little bit awkward. I think it's because of that Fed news. We'll go over it, but overall, I do think we were due for a little bit of cooling down. So why today was awkward, the Fed news that came out, we will discuss it again here, but essentially the chances of Powell being replaced, that got increased as they reported that Lael Brainerd, the other person who could replace Powell, she actually had a meeting at the White House. Now, why I'm kind of blaming the market on this, because if you look at the breadth today and how it played out, it was really 50-50, and some names did good, some names did bad. But if you're a real Chad and you've been watching TLT, you probably noticed that it went crazy. And this is a higher end of the range. This is very, very surprising, and it's creating a little bit of a fear response. But then if you go look at some of the tech stocks like even Amazon, they were actually able to do good. That's what kind of made this awkward, because it was a lot of uncertainty news. It had some feedback there with the bonds and the dollar, but at the same time, it kind of had a little bit of a benefit there on some of the mega caps. So it was a very interesting day to say the least. And then on top of it, we talked about it yesterday. You didn't really get that sell the news event from the infrastructure news, but today you really did see that, at least with some of the material stocks, but energy was able to do good. So we're going to talk about that too. But overall, today was a little bit of cooling down, getting rid of that all-time high or constant streaks there, but there was a little bit of uncertainty that got introduced to the market. So there was a little bit of earnings and all that, and that was key. But now coming into tomorrow, this is your first pretty picture. It is simply the CPI and what is expected. So based on the estimates for tomorrow, it's actually gone up. The headline is now estimated at 5.9%. That is the little orange bars that you're seeing here, and then the core is expected to come in at 4.3. Core excludes food and energy. So both of these are historically high, but now here's the thing. If inflation comes in at expectations, this will be the fastest pace since the 1990s. So it's going to come out in the morning. There's a lot of eyes on it. Like we said, it seems like most people are adjusted to it, but given that bond move that you saw today, we will see what happens. The market may not like it, but this is definitely definitely going to be a catalyst. So regardless of what we saw this week, it is still going to be something to watch. If any data comes out and it does surprise, do not underestimate the market's ability to move off of this. Again, we've been able to ignore some things, and I think we're going to ignore this one here too, but I'm just going to keep a close eye just in case. So watch out for that. And then, like we said, it's just all about the CPI, but you want to see if any of these other worries start to creep in, aka any other uncertainty. We've talked about the economy and inflation. Earnings seem to cool that down, and now with that news that you got today with Powell, or the odds of Powell being replaced increasing, that could be another one of those areas of uncertainty. We'll see if Wall Street gets worried about it. Otherwise, the earnings you got today with Roblox and then DoorDash as well after hours, those are highlighting some good trends. So depending on how it plays out, people may start to focus on the positives. Again, we started off this week and ended last week on good travel news, so we'll see how that comes into tomorrow. And then finally, we saw this move a lot today, and just don't forget about it. I haven't made a play on it, but this is going to be a key to watch just because there could be a feedback from it. But energy, it's going crazy, and just watch if oil breaks above that $85. That's kind of the high that we've been on. We are right there, but what I'm saying is that the higher you go above 80 coming into like $90, you want to start seeing if you get a dollar pullback or even the market, because oil at a high price does pose a certain economic risk. So keep your eye out for that. That is still very important, and we've been getting headlines day after day on that, so watch out for that. But very simple and awkward day. There was a couple of news headlines here. We're going to get into that, a lot of one-liners, but overall, we got a catalyst tomorrow, and really, we just got to make sure that the bond market doesn't freak out, and things should chill out a little bit, but this is going to bring some more excitement. But coming into the company news and events now, this is the main piece of news, and simply Brainerd, she met at the White House. If you remember, about a week or two ago, we also heard about Powell going to the White House. Well, Brainerd went as well too. So now some people are saying this could be her interviewing for the position and them discussing it, or at the very least, she may even be the vice chair, and she's probably going to head up some of the regulatory stuff within the Fed. And if you remember, Quarles, he actually resigned about a day or two ago. He is currently the vice chair doing that. So it does kind of connect, but this got people really thinking today, and some people saw it, some people ignored it, but I really think this was something moving big beneath the surface today. So we're going to watch out for that. Really, the deadline to watch is around Thanksgiving, whether or not they renominate Powell. And somebody asked today, they're like, why is that big deal? It's all because he has set us up out of this recovery. He's outlined the plan, and now we're starting to take the next step. It's just the risk of the uncertainty that would come with a transition of now somebody else handling this, somebody else having to try to communicate to the market what's going on. So there's a lot of uncertainty and risk tied into that, but that was the biggest piece of news today. Then coming into the earnings, Coinbase, I'm shocked. I'm very shocked. They missed on earnings. They missed the revenue number. Trading volume went up more than expected, and so did institutional client trading, but overall, they just didn't make as much money on the trade. So even though Bitcoin and all of that's high, there hasn't been a lot of volatility with all of that, meaning a lot of people have just been holding. They didn't really profit off it the same. So it was a very surprising miss there. The numbers are still down substantially quarter over quarter, comparing some of the hype in the beginning of the year, but they were able to drop. It's still holding up. I mean, it's still up 30% in the last couple of weeks here. It was up about 40 or 50, so we'll see how that one plays out. Then Dash, they surprised just like Roblox. We're going to talk about it, but they did better than expected and announced that they're buying another company, but comparing them quarter over quarter like Roblox, they were supposed to do bad and kind of fade away, but they didn't, so they were up 22% after hours. That was a killer. And then this one was surprising. Upstart, they actually had good earnings and good guidance, but then they ended up tumbling there, so watch out for that tomorrow. We saw a couple of those last week, so that one will be key to watch. And then we saw this piece of news in the morning. GE announced that they're splitting into 3 different units. The main one is going to be their aviation unit, but they're splitting up their company, I believe, like household items and something else, and they said they're going to take a $2 billion one-time separation fee because of it. So both good and bad. The stock moved around a little bit. I believe it closed up green, but that was some big news, and it held up a lot of the indexes there, so watch out for that. Then Rivian, they are going to IPO tomorrow, so this is a long, hyped and awaited EV stock play. Amazon owns a 20% stake in them. They are going to be IPOing tomorrow, and they're expected to come in at the high end of the range, so that one's going to be a fun one to watch. We will be trading it there. We have our criteria. If it hits criteria, I'll trade it. If not, we'll see what happens, but we'll give you guys some insight. But watch out out for that one. Then Tesla, they dropped today. We had a play on it. We got to take profits. We're going to talk about this one, but it dropped the most since 2020, the most in 14 months, and Musk actually lost $15 billion in wealth. So what happened? Nothing. All of this is based off of Elon tweeting. So at this point, he already sold. A lot of people already talked about it. We showed it on stream. His brother, Kimball, actually sold on Friday 88,000 shares at like $1,200 before Elon even tweeted the poll. We talked about this a lot. This was even what we said at the beginning of the week. This was the biggest drop in 20 months now. We made our play and all of that, but the only thing it's dropping on is literally the reaction to this tweet and people anticipating it or waiting till it comes out. So maybe he releases it. Maybe we get a Form 4. We'll find out from there, but maybe the stock even bounces. But that was a big piece of news and a big mover today. Then Laser coming into LiDAR, they jumped 15% on the news that NVIDIA selected them to assist with some of their AI driving stuff. So that was really big news. Some of the other LiDAR companies, I think Valander got clapped. They were up in the morning and then sold off, but that was a big key of news. And then NVIDIA didn't actually go crazy today, surprisingly, but there was that. Then Apple, after hours, they added Johnson & Johnson's CEO to the board, the current CEO, and this is kind of highlighting their push into health. So I'm going to watch that tomorrow. This one will be very, very interesting. That was surprising news. And then Netflix, we got this in the morning and later in the day, but they announced that they're launching their little game platform in US and Canada, kind of like a trial run. So we'll see how that one plays out. Then coming into some of the politics here, Biden, he called Walmart, UPS, FedEx, and the Target CEOs, and he wanted to make sure that shelves will be stocked. They said that they will. So it was regarding the supply chains. That one was interesting. No real reaction, but coming into the end of the year and some of the guidance we've got from these companies, it's going to be key to watch. So watch out for that. And then finally, the Biden virtual summit with Xi Jinping. They have announced the date for next week. So all eyes on that. It may cool some things down with the China stocks and all those earnings in the meantime. So we'll see what happens. But the market's getting exciting. We're getting a little bit of volatility, but there's a lot on the table and a lot more earnings. So I hope you're ready. But that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 or 4 different plays that I'm looking at coming into tomorrow. But the first one I want to talk about is Roblox, because that was a big mover, but I want to show you the highlights. So I do have a mystery play for tomorrow. I honestly think it is going to play exactly like Roblox did, but the main point I want to highlight is the post-earnings continuation. So we did this a couple of times already. If you remember Airbnb, I actually made a play on it today and I was able to get back into it. But if you remember over the weeks, we played it following the earnings. There it is right here. You remember the day after earnings, we were able to make 2 different flips, and then I even made a 3rd trade today, but we also played the earnings run-up. So I sold out before Airbnb earnings. Even though they beat and all that, I sold out. We took our gains, and then we were able to play it afterwards. And then yesterday, I sold out of those Robloxes for a loss. If you guys remember, that one was kind of unfortunate. Boo-hoo, we missed out on that 1,000%. We got our shares, but I was still able to make 2 different trades today and walk away with at least 100% or like 90% on both of them. So this is what I'm trying to highlight here. And even coming into tomorrow now, I want to show you the plays that I made on Roblox. I am expecting this one to go up tomorrow. I think it's going to play like Airbnb. I think we'll at least get a little bit of a pop in the first hour or 2, and that will make the premiums go crazy. But we talked about this today. I made a second play towards the end of the day on here. I grabbed these 150s for November. These are the furthest out, and I talked about this, and the reason was, if you come look at the option chain here, the chain really only goes out to 150. So even on the next week, November 19th, even the short term, and you could see the volume and a lot of people going after this. Remember, Roblox is kind of a smaller float stock. I mean, look at the moves that it's made, even 40% in one day. That highlights it. So this was my last play on the day. I went with the November 9th 150s, but this was like a momentum YOLO type of play, because all I said is, well, I think the momentum's going to continue once we got that break there at like 105. You could see the timing here, and this is the play that I ended up holding. I'm going to be holding into tomorrow, so this is where I'm saying there's going to be a little volatility in the morning that I'm looking for, but we executed that at 11:26. So literally like right here, we waited for that break there coming into 105, and then it started to go crazy. So what I did was I grabbed 10 of the 150 calls at 65, and you can see I held it for 20 minutes. It went crazy there. They went up to 98. I sold half, so still took profits. I pretty much got my money back. I spent $650, sold 5 of them for about $500, so lowered the investment. And this one I'm holding into tomorrow, and then off the morning, we went for the continuation play. In this one, I'm actually talking to TD right now. They're going to fix this one. Even though I made an error, you could see what happened. It's only because I was holding the shares in the collateral. I don't know if you could see it down here, but I made 2 trades in the morning, and I tried to bid on that, and I started upping the bid, and then it did a sell to open. So kind of made me get into a covered call. We're going to talk about this one, but they said they're going to be able to hook me up with it. I hope. We're going to talk about that there tomorrow. It's actually a very interesting lesson from here. But even then, it gave me a shitty covered call on there, but I still wanted to go for the play. So even despite that, I waited a little bit. And then I decided to snag the January 125 calls. Bought those about 13 minutes after the open. Again, post-earnings continuation. All these plays were up. So we were playing that post-earnings move and it continuing. Again, it kind of reminded us of Airbnb. I did figure it was going to keep going. I was willing to take the risk. I put 2 contracts in at 437, and then those rocketed by the end of the day. And you can see here right at close, I was able to sell those out at 820. So just under 100%, took the profits on that one, and then holding out the other Robloxes, and then we made $25,000 on the shares. But it hit that 110 level earlier today. This is going to be the key level. They're going to be on Mad Money tonight, the CEO. But just watch how Airbnb played. They're either going to get another little pop tomorrow. I will expect some level of stall, but this one might trade a little differently. But thankfully, we've got a couple of examples. So riding that out there, the short terms, we'll talk about those. I may even triple dip tomorrow. So make sure you're there on stream. But that's the first play. And now, since you understand that you can make money on the post continuations, I'm going to skip over to this one. This is the secret play. They're already up 22% after hours. That's a lot. They're going to move a lot. They kind of came around the same time as Roblox, but their earnings logic was very similar to Roblox in terms of expectations. They beat third quarter. They were one of these pandemic trades. They were supposed to go down this quarter. They didn't. You saw how the market has punished the ones that miss, like Peloton and even Snapchat, for crying out loud. But if you win like Roblox, even Airbnb, they've rewarded it. But Dash is very similar to Roblox in that sense. Smaller float. The options are a little bit crazier, but what I'm saying, you will probably get a good post-earnings continuation. And actually, even here, breaking news, after hours on Roblox here. They got a price target increase. JP Morgan, Roblox 123, 100 by Morningstar, 90 by Jefferies. Okay, but back to DoorDash. So that's probably going to happen tomorrow with DoorDash, and that's what you're going to want to look at there, because there's going to get the earnings. There's going to be the hype, but overall they did good. There's going to be a reason for people to buy them. So I'm going to look at this for the post earnings. Even if you missed that big run up, make sure you're looking there, and you can see sometimes we're buying them instantly, but then also you still got a little bit of a window there, and we'll talk about that. You'll see some of the other plays we made, but that is going to be the mystery play. That's the one I think is going to have the continuation. Going to keep eyes on them tomorrow, and I don't have shares on there, so a little bit different than the other ones I've been playing, so watch out for that. Then coming into the third play, Uber, kind of ties into DoorDash. I believe they went up on it, or if anything, the fundamentals of DoorDash is going to benefit Uber there, but they are coming back a little bit after their couple-day sell-off. So remember, they had the good earnings, ended up slowly selling off. The premiums came down, but we saw it today. We made a lot of different day trades, and you'll see it on the option chain. If you bought anything on the dip today, there was one period where a lot of premiums just started to sink. If you bought anything and then the market bounced, all of them went up like 20 or 30%. So that's what happened with Uber already. So the contracts kind of got an uptick, surprisingly, even though it fell a little bit more and closed red today. I'm still down on those old January ones. So that's kind of expected, but they're only down 23%. I thought these would be down like 40 or 50. So saying something there, there's kind of this premium move. You can see it here. This was that dip I was talking about when the market was going down, and then everything kind of just launched and then started to hold for the rest of the day. So kind of typical with options, but this is what makes it harder. That's a little bit of the volatility, and it shows that the plays are cheap, but they got a little bit of that premium. I mean, we want that extra 10, 20% if you've been seeing how we've been trading lately, but overall, I like them. Going to be keeping my eye out for them. I think they're going to be good. And then finally, a runner-up here is Airbnb. I did make another play on that, and if you remember, we've been talking about it. That's why I've been kind of rooting for it to go down. It dropped a little bit today, and I decided to go. This was during that drop, and I think these closed like 20 or 30%. Yeah, these ended up 27% here on the day. I grabbed the December 220 calls for 285. I grabbed 2 of them, so spent a little bit more than $500. So I'm playing it even a little bit smaller. I mean, that's the profit I even took on the first set, because I do want to build out a lot, but like I've been saying, the premiums there are still elevated. This was still elevated. I wanted ones with more time. You could even hear me debating it live if you go back. This was like 30 minutes into the live feed. I made the trade. I said I wanted wanted more time. I didn't really like it, but I said, okay, I'm just going to go with it, make the position size smaller because I wanted a lot more of Airbnb. We're playing that little cool down, and then I'm waiting for the next bigger post-earnings move. Again, I still love their earnings, and it's been great, but I kept it small, kind of got into there, and then everything started to bounce. But this is that third play I've made on it. So the logic is I think it's going to go up, but I also still think it could cool down a little bit. Why I decided to go with it, because at the time, Airbnb was already dropping, and it was at like 190-ish. I think it was like somewhere around here. So even at 190, my floor, I don't think Airbnb is going to go lower than 180 or anything below 180. I think is going to be pretty solid there, but I thought it would sell out around there if not. So I said, okay, I could justify a little now because even at 190 goes to 180, those contracts would probably drop like 30% anyways. It's kind of bearable, and then I could get the ones I really wanted for cheaper. So ended up being a good bounce play, still holding that one, riding that one out, but watch them coming into tomorrow. And now, as far as all the other plays and what we made today, we already went over the Roblox, we went over the Airbnb, and then at that same time, within that time period during the dip, I went after a Coinbase for pre-earnings. I figured there was going to be a floor, and if you go look at this contract, it was a November 410. I bought it at 720, but you could see that I got it during that first little dip here. They were already dropping. I mean, these opened up at like $1,000, so there was a lot of premium on Coinbase in the morning. They were even at like 770 to open, even like higher 800s or so. So I figured off of the drop, they were going down. I was like, all right, well, it has earnings today. It'll at least protect me from the floor. I thought I wouldn't lose more than 100. I didn't expect it to totally crater, but I said, okay, we'll ride it out there. But then it ended up shooting up. I took that one as the flip because I wanted to hold the Airbnb. Got a nice like 20% on that one. I sold it about like almost 20 minutes later there for $850. Got out of that one. Then we sold out of our Tesla. So we were right on this play, and I was going to double dip earlier, but I hesitated and I didn't get it. But if you remember, we talked about it at the beginning of the week. I made that trade yesterday morning, but I was down 40%. Remember, it got instantly clapped, but the stock still was holding down. We rode that one out there, kept it small still, so I didn't have to go crazy. And again, I was supposed to average down, but I didn't. But it ended up shooting up 1020. I got to get 60% profit. Got them at 640 there, so sold them out for $1,000. Nothing too crazy there, but really like that one there, and then we're going to see what happens with it, but took the profits on that. Then Netflix, they redropped that news, and I kind of misread it. I grabbed in small $2.55, but I feel like I got a little bit hustled there, so I pretty much sold out. I was going to sell it out for a loss. I went to the bathroom, waited, was able to get out for it, got a 5% gain, changed my mind on that play, and then I grabbed Space. They were an earnings play. They were down a little, then rocketed up. It looked like a good post-earnings continuation. Seemed like a hype play. There was a lot of other hype stocks running, and I was going to grab some other ones, but I just figured, I said, let me go with one of the winners, a play I haven't really played. I went December, 24 calls for $1, $200. Little bit of time. We'll see how that one plays out, so I got that one still holding, and then 20 minutes later I made the Roblox plays for the November, made them free, sold out the other ones, and then holding the rest. So a lot of trades today. Again, you're seeing us take profits. Got to make a couple of different day trades, even got to swing the Teslas from negative to positive, and even establish some of the other plays we like there. So tomorrow I think there's going to be a lot of activity. Watch out for all of the same stocks. Again, Roblox, Airbnb, and all that. PayPal, we lost 40 or 60% on that play there. It has January. I am definitely going to average down on this one. I think it's going to come up here, but you just got to watch with the $200 level. So I'm going to wait for like a real bounce off of here. Otherwise, if it breaks it for a little bit, then comes back, we'll get a better idea. But watch them. Then Pubmatic, they had a good earnings. They're up 31%. Anybody who beats, just keep an eye on them from the morning tomorrow. It could be a good continuation. Then Coinbase, this one's going to be a mixed bag. It's going to be harder to play here. I think DoorDash is good news and it's more, clear cut. Coinbase is going to be a post earnings continuation, but hard to say which way it's going to move tomorrow. So watch out for them. Then Tesla on the way down. We'll see if it keeps breaking or if there's any news on that. Keep her out for that. Then Disney, they're going to have their earnings, I believe, tomorrow or Thursday, but watch for the pre-earnings run up. A lot of people ask me, I may look for like the same day trade like you saw with Coinbase if it looks decent, but for now, a lot of the premiums are kind of jacked up there, so watch out for that, but keep your eye on them. And then Dash, I think this one's going to be a hype one tomorrow. Airbnb, we went over. Uber, that's going to be a great one. Again, we'll see the premiums. Then Upstart, this will be a good earnings continuation. It's either going to keep plummeting or it'll play out kind of like Twilio did and have that bounce back, so watch out for them. Fubo, their earnings, high expectations. The plays might get a little bit cheaper there, but they moved under the expectations, so watch for them to continue tomorrow. That one will be key. And then Win, another post-earnings continuation, but in general, I want to watch the travel stocks. And then Amazon, I'm still in that one play. It's down 30% now. I'm down like $700 or $800 on that one put we got a couple days ago, but I'm looking for 3,600, and then I'm going to look to grab another put to average down. So we'll see the total balance that we put in. I thought the play was decent, but I'm going to wait till it really pushes against me there, and we'll see what happens. Got a little bit of time. Things do change, and it looks like I'm forcing it. I may not average down, but I do have that idea on the forefront of my mind for now. So watch out for them. And then finally, coming into TLT and the dollar, if it does set a new low here, aka a new high on TLT, a new low for yields, that is a warning sign, and things will go crazy. We're going to watch the CPI tomorrow. Any surprises could send it off there, but what I'm really going to look for is short-term strength in the dollar. We're not really seeing it here, but again, just like you saw bonds do the opposite, I'm going to watch for that flip-flop, and that's where it'll be key. Essentially, they both start hitting at the same time. TLT hits a new high in the dollar. That's probably going to be the real big warning signal, and I think the uncertainty will come from anything with Fed policy or even changing Powell, so don't sleep on that news. But like we talked about with SHI, and this is what happened here today, you could see SHI barely moved. It's up like 0.08, and that looks like a big move for the stock, but look at TLT, that was up 1.2. That means the short end of the curve barely went down while the long end plummeted, and this is just more yield curve flattening. The break-evens, the real yields, all of that, that is what's been shocking and worrying people now, so that's what we're going to keep an eye out for. The thing that's really going to move it is going to be the dollar, but right now, the bonds are telling us either policy error or that there is going to be uncertainty about the longer end of the future, which is going to be dependent on some shorter-term action. So think about that, and I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shine. I need you to remember, you got to give yourself the reminder, baby. But the code loves you. I love you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.